Welcome back to Second and Short. It is Friday, April 12th, 2024. A lot of things going on in the sports world right now. The draft, just 2 weeks away from the day that we're recording this, which means we're 2 weeks away from the draft special, the live stream. It's 100% confirmed. I'm already working on everything, getting things ready to go. The draft special is going to be live this year. Me, Luke, Colin, all in studio. Nathan behind the camera. We're going to be watching it this time instead of relying on the ESPN website ticker, which sucks. So we're going to be watching it all together, live on YouTube, on the Second and Short account, starting right when the draft starts, 8 o'clock next Thursday. So super excited about that. Right before this recording, me and Luke decided that we're going to be doing our mock drafts next week. So I'm going to be updating mine because obviously, the mock draft video came out. If you haven't watched that, go watch it. But I'm going to be doing my 2.0. Luke's going to be doing his mock draft, and we're going to go through all that next week. So lots of stuff kind of in the weeds right now for Second and Short. Luke, how are you doing today?
I'm great, man. I'm actually in my underwear for this episode.
Nice.
It's hot
Nice.
in my room. I won't be standing up to show y'all.
Are you sure?
Any special packages? I'm positive.
Okay. Not going to be an
but who
Amazon
knows?
delivery driver today.
I might have to do a reenactment of a baseball play, and I might get too excited and stand up and forget that I don't have shorts on. But we're gonna stay this one seated down, I think.
Okay, like we normally do. So
Like we normally do. But there have been times where I've had
there has been the Juan Soto reaction, the most notable. And if you were in your underwear for that one, it would have gone poorly. A lot of jumping around, moving quickly.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, back to what we're talking about. Lots of stuff going on. We'll start on kind of a sad note. Bad news that came out this morning. O.J. Simpson has passed away this morning at the age of 76 after losing his fight with prostate cancer. Super sad. Also has warranted an interesting reaction from the internet, for obvious reasons. But look, if we're talking about O.J. Simpson, the football player, this is a Hall of Fame running back, one of the best players in NFL history. So it's super sad to see him go.
Yeah, the original Juice.
Yeah, he was on the loose.
He was on the loose.
I don't want to make jokes about this, but it's so difficult not to.
Yeah, it is. It's weird because I don't really know how we're supposed to take it.
That's what I'm saying. If he killed those two people, then maybe he's looking up at us right now and is not very happy with what we're talking about. If he didn't kill him, maybe he's looking down on us and is happy that we're immortalizing him. I don't know. I hope everybody understands why there was a disparity in what I said and what direction he was facing. Nonetheless, we'll just move on from the topic. Jackson Holliday got the call up, the number one player in MLB's, the number one prospect in the MLB, got the call up, played pretty well. Nothing crazy. Fun fact, Craig Kimbrell pitched against Matt Holliday in his last season, and then pitched for the Orioles and got the save in Jackson Holliday's first game.
I did see that.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Kimbrell's been around for a while.
Yes, he has. Definitely. Let's see. Next thing, Ipe Mizuhara. Probably going to rot in jail. Or at least be there for a long time. He's working out a plea deal apparently, but he's looking to plead guilty for stealing about $16 million from Shohei Ohtani. Pretty crazy.
A little bit of some change there.
Yeah, got a little bit of information from the complaints and stuff that the official stuff came out 32 pages long. Obviously didn't read that, but kind of some interesting things that came out of it. Between December 2021 and January 2024, Mizuhara allegedly placed approximately 19,000 wagers, and his losing bets totaled up to about $182.94 million. His winning bets, $142.27 million, so total losses around $40.7 million. Stole 16 million of it to pay back. Yeah, bad guy, looks like.
Yeah, really
and,
bad guy.
And we also got a lot of confirmation about like how much he was really doing for Shohei Ohtani within this complaint, because like his translation was needed for everything Shohei did. It, like, literally in the complaint, it says that none of Shohei's agents, accountants, or financial advisors speak Japanese.
Wow.
So Mizuhara was dealing with all of that. And also his agency, which is CAA, doesn't even employ a single individual who speaks Japanese. So it was all Ippei Mizuhara doing the translating for that.
Yeah, he definitely played a big role.
Yeah.
In Ohtani's career, which is it kind of goes even further. It's like, why would you try to jeopardize like your
That's what I'm saying.
career like that?
I don't, looking at all of this, it makes no sense why a guy would do all of this, considering his job is like so disposable. Like, he is so easily replaceable. All you have to, you know how many people you can employ that speak Japanese and English? Like, it's ridiculous. Exactly. So for a guy to just be this dumb about this whole process is crazy.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So bad guy, Ippei Mizuhara. On other note, one of the best weekends of the year underway. Masters weekend is happening right now in Augusta, Georgia, at Augusta National. I will most certainly be spending my Friday drinking azaleas and watching golf. Right now, current leader about halfway through the day is Bryson DeChambeau. It's 7 under. He's already in the clubhouse, but Scotty Scheffler only threw 14, 7 under. Me and Colin, or I guess just me, I think, because Colin won't be here this Sunday. Or no. Me and Colin are going to be recording on Saturday this weekend. So we won't have a winner when we record, but we'll still talk a little bit about the Masters. And then also me and Colin are going to talk a little bit about our time at the Braves game on Tuesday. We went to the Braves game on Tuesday, and it was fantastic. Very fun. Despite the fact that we were sitting in the rain, Colin got us one hell of a deal on some seats. Section 118, about a section behind the Braves dugout. Amazing view. Insanely good view. Only unfortunate part is that it was raining the whole time. And we were about 4 rows into the rain. Like, we were so close to being under the cover of the 200 section. Unfortunately, got rained on the entire time.
So when I was texting you, you were at that game?
On Tuesday? Yeah. Yes.
I didn't know you were at the Braves game on Tuesday.
Yeah, I forgot to post it on anything. I just, funny enough, ran into a friend of mine. Shout out Jared. He was just at the game. I didn't even know.
Jared was there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Also, first time drinking at a Braves game now that I'm 21. That was cool. Very expensive, but cool.
Yeah.
Very expensive.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, that kind of wraps up the things outside of what we'll be talking about in today's episode, but we'll go ahead and kind of let you know what's on the ledger. We've got the finale of the season grades, the NFC Beast, getting some season grades today.
Beast.
Yeah, Beast, maybe they're losing the allure. Maybe it's going to the AFC next year. But we've got our MLB recap, of course, MLB weekend preview, Premier League weekend, UCL recap, some crazy games in the Champions League. And then we'll round it out with questions time. I'm super excited to go ahead and get into this. So let's go ahead and start in the NFC East. Luke, our fourth place team, our fourth place team, the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, a team that when we were covering their games, I was super high on them almost every single time we talked about them. I thought that they, finishing the season 4-13 and losing I don't know, they lost. How many games did they lose at the end of their season? Hang on, let me see.
They were 4-13.
They were 4-13, but they their last bit stretch. Yeah, they lost 8 games in a row.
Yeah,
is what I was trying to get at. I'm going to be honest. I don't like them getting rid of Sam Howell after
Me
this
neither.
season. I almost threw for 4,000 yards. He did throw 21 touchdowns, but also 21
Yeah.
interceptions. I thought, he was a guy that came out there and he was slinging it. With
Yeah.
Sam Howell healthy at quarterback, it felt like the Commanders actually had a chance to really go toe to toe with any defense in the NFL. And I know that's crazy to say, but they could rack up points
For
in
sure.
games.
Yeah, no, they
Um,
they did a great job really all season like scoring. They could score
yeah,
against just about anybody. Like, 35 on the Broncos. Yeah, the Bills a different story, but 31 on the Eagles, 20 on the Bears, 24 on the Falcons, 31 on the Eagles in the second game. Like they
yep,
had some very good scoring games. 28 points on the Jets. But they couldn't put it all together. The defense was atrocious. I think we all kind of knew that. And then they traded away both their defensive ends at the deadline, which definitely didn't help because, once again, they lost the last 8 games of the season.
yeah,
I kind of agree with the sentiment that maybe Howell shouldn't have gone. It's interesting. I think, yes, he did a good job and he was kind of thrust into this role. Like, yes, he was a rookie last season. He got one start all year. It didn't really go great, but I was looking forward to seeing him. And we saw good things. We also saw a lot of bad things. And I
yeah,
think with the new coaching staff coming in, I think it was pretty obvious that they were going to try and change directions. I think, with all the changes happening, why not get a fresh new look at everything? So you keep your offensive weapons, but you bring some more in, and now you're going to draft a quarterback here. You've got the second overall pick in the draft. I think what they did this offseason was great. What they did during the season, there was bright spots, but overall it was very bad.
yeah. Especially defensively. I mean, they were dead last in the league in points against, total yards against, and passing yards against. So then again, that's kind of a tribute to what their offense was able to do is they really didn't have any help, and
Yeah.
they're not going to have help when Sam Howell's throwing 21 interceptions because that defense hasn't
Yeah.
proven that you can turn the ball over. Um, and I mean, even offensively, their stats kind of lacked. They had like no run game help. You didn't really see a lot of bright things from Brian Robinson Jr. like you wanted to. Antonio Gibson's a veteran in this league, but he's kind of just washed at this point. He's falling off really, really hard. And then what's interesting though is even though Sam Howell has really, really crazy stats, not a big year for Terry McLaurin. Only two
No.
yards over 1,000 this season. But yeah, the Commanders were an interesting case. I don't feel like 4-13 does them justice.
No, I think they were a little bit better than that. I think the problem was that the defense was so bad that they couldn't win a close one. Like you lose
Yeah,
that game to the Giants 14-7 or yeah, 14-7 was tough. A 3-point loss to the Eagles and then a touchdown loss to the Eagles. A 2-point or like a 2-point victory over the Broncos, but you gave up 33 points. They lost close ones there at the end with the Rams, only an 8-point loss, a 2-point loss to the Jets, like a 3-point loss to the Seahawks. It was just those close games. If they would have gone their way, if they would have, the defense could have clutched up there at the end, it would have been different. They just couldn't. I don't know where Luke just went. That was interesting. What happened there, Luke?
it wasn't even touching anything.
Nice. Well,
Sorry about that.
it's fine. I'm not going to cut it out, so we're just going to keep going because I had things to say. And you
Okay.
interrupted me, but yeah, look, the Commanders I think could have been better if the defense was better, and it wasn't. So they were bad, and that's just what happens. And I think because of how much this team decided, like how much they decided to change going into the offseason, almost makes the regular season look worse because it was like, yes, there was good things, and they still changed it. So it was
Yeah.
like
And
I think it really hurt them.
Yeah, for sure. And to kind of bounce off of that defensively, I feel like the Commanders' secondary has probably now the most dogs on it than any other parts of their defense, I would say.
Yeah.
Cameron Curl did not really have a bad year. But what's alarming to me is the fact that Emmanuel Forbes and Kendall Fuller were in that secondary, and they still, I mean, the air raid just shit on them all season long.
Yeah.
They could not defend against the pass. Um, I have a question for you.
Okay.
So, does Jahan Dotson still have potential?
He has potential in the right kind of offense. If they figure something out with this offense where, all the targets aren't going to Terry and, maybe their passing game is a little more confidence driven, because I think the biggest problem so there was 2 spots that killed this offense. Sam Howell did not have the confidence in games to be successful. And it didn't help that the coaching staff and just the whole team didn't seem to have confidence in Sam Howell to go out and win games. And I think that killed both ends. And so, it came into this final 8 games where they lost all of them, and Jahan Dotson played horrible. Sam Howell played very, very bad, and a lot of guys just couldn't even be a factor because they weren't good enough to. So it was just like this culmination of a lack of confidence and obviously a lack of defense that just ended up exploding by the end of the season.
And another thing that I wanted to talk about is they didn't have that confidence unless they were playing the Eagles.
Yeah.
It seemed like.
They confidently played the Eagles.
Yeah, the Commanders kept the Eagles super close in both of their games, but to, even further bounce off of that, the games against Dallas, holy shit. I mean, Dallas just mollywopped you. Both games, 38-10, 45-10. And then you're going to drop 2 to the Giants. I mean, they didn't win a single division game season, and that was really, really sucky for them. I'm going to go ahead and give my grade, though. And this is, I feel like maybe I did them a little bit generous here, but I just, like I said, I was high on the Commanders, and I liked the confidence that they showed at the beginning of the season. I gave them a D-.
Yeah, I wasn't all that high on them, but I agree with you. I went with a D- as well.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how they look next year.
Yeah.
But I feel like they made a lot of aggressive moves, like you said, at the trade line, getting rid of both of their elite edge rushers. But I don't like them getting rid of Sam Howell at all. I really
we'll
would
see.
With him.
And I think, it seems like Jaden Daniels might be there, or it's going to be Drake May. Either way, they're good options. And I think with, I've kind of already touched on this point, but with the changes in the organization, a change at quarterback makes sense. So either way they go, I think they're going to be happy with what they get out of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, let's talk about the Giants. They were so weird because you can blame part of it on the injury to Daniel Jones, but Daniel Jones wasn't helping himself out. Other than that crazy-ass performance in the second game of the season where they totally brought it back in the second half and beat the Cardinals, they were horrendous. That first game against Cowboys set the tone for what we were going to see from the Giants all year, and I had rather high expectations of this team. I had them as a playoff team.
Oh, dude, we both did.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go to a point I made as my last point with the Giants, and this perfectly describes them for not only last season, but just kind of seasons prior, is the Giants have made so many leaps and bounds to get better players and better coaches, but they have only ever gotten better on paper the entire time. I mean, you bring in guys like Bobby Okereke, who had a great year. I'm not dogging on him at all. He was probably one of their best players on defense.
Yeah.
But, Darren Waller came in and did nothing. And hit, he might not be on a team in a couple fucking years.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on with Darren Waller. Drafting Jalen Hyatt had kind of a big hype around him, but he wasn't really used until later in the season.
Yep.
And even then, I feel like he wasn't really a big factor in the offense that they were running. They struggled all year long.
Yeah, through and through, they were bad, honestly. And it didn't help that Tommy DeVito surprise some people for a couple of weeks because that honestly that killed everything. If he would have just been bad, they could have just been bad as a team. But he decided to win a couple of games, and everybody had to be like, do we need to think about them? And then we all got a reality check, and we didn't.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah, they were horrible. The defense had its games, I will say. They held the Bills to 14 points. They held the Commanders to 7. They held the Jets to 13. They held the Jets to 13. They held the Patriots to 10, which, once again, I'm not talking about great defenses or anything, but, great offenses, but still, like, holding teams back from, breaking, like, that 20-point threshold is good, no matter what happens. So, I will say that they had some good games, and they beat the Packers, who are a playoff team with an explosive offense. So I don't hate what I saw from them this season on the defensive side entirely, but like there definitely was bad defensive performances, notably against the Cowboys both times. But overall, I think with how heavy the expectations were on this team and to see how it went, even the guys, even outside of Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley should have been better, and he wasn't. And I think on the defense, there was a lot of guys to look for. None of them really made a huge impact. I think this offseason they went out and did a great job on the defense. But I don't know what's going to happen. Is Daniel Jones your guy? You're paying him like he is, so you might have to make him your guy no matter what happens. And, what are you going to do at running back? Because Saquon's gone, and he's playing for your division rivals. So there's a lot of decisions to be made for the Giants. I think a lot of that is going to fall on, or at least, a lot of that will be reflected in the attitude towards Brian Daboll for this coming season. Yes, Year 1 was amazing. Year 2, not so much, and all of a sudden, the switch flipped on him.
Definitely.
So
it's going to be more.
I think for everybody on this team going into next year, Brian Daboll's the guy that needs to prove it the most.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because like you said, first season was great. After the first season, I was kind of getting like Dan Campbell vibes from this guy.
Yeah.
Just a gritty, we're the Giants. We're going to play football. We're going to play hard football. But this past season killed it. And you're right. He needs to prove it year 3. But yeah, losing Saquon, I don't really mind it.
I don't hate it.
From the Giants' perspective.
It allows them to go elsewhere.
It allows them to go elsewhere, exactly. Because even last year, he played 14 games, which is a really good year for Saquon. But he only averaged 3.9 yards per carry all season long. Only had 6 touchdowns. He wasn't really all that effective. So, going back to that point, I don't mind them losing Saquon. Of course, when you have a season where you play 3 quarterbacks, it's probably not going to look great by the end of it, which in the Giants' case, it didn't. But Tommy DeVito throwing for 8 touchdowns and only 3 picks is kind of ridiculous. Though.
It is.
That's insane.
Yeah. He's still not good.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Their receivers all were horrible. I mean, if Darius Slayton is your top guy, 700 yards, 770 yards, you're not doing something right. And to kind of go back to what you said, I think defensively they had some guys stick out. Kayvon Thibodeau, 11.5 sacks is not bad at all. I thought, when I was writing these notes, I didn't realize that he was over double-digit sacks, but he actually had a really good year. He's an underrated pass rusher that I think they need to hang on to in their future. Xavier McKinney had a good year. I thought Deonte Banks as a rookie was okay. But the Giants, they still got a long way to go.
Yeah, I think based off of last year, and I'm going to kind of go ahead and give my grade. Based off of last year and the expectations I had going into this year, I'm giving them an F. Like, they were just that bad. Even, with Daniel Jones, without Daniel Jones, during the heyday of Tommy DeVito, whatever you want to call it, like, they were still bad. So I have to give them an F. They were truly atrocious.
Yeah, I gave them an F+.
Nice.
It's weird giving the Giants a worse grade than the Commanders, but I genuinely thought the Commanders looked better when they were better.
Agreed.
Than the Giants. So, Yeah, I'm not really high on the Giants. And then my last cool stat that I wanted to bring up about them is that Mason Crosby played 3 games as a New York Giant this year. I had no idea.
Nice. Me neither.
Yeah.
Totally did not cross my mind whatsoever. Well, let's talk about the Eagles. They were an interesting case because, first half of the season, we're talking, maybe they're going back to the Super Bowl. This team was what, 10-1? Yeah, they were 10-1.
They really 10-1 and finished 11-6.
Yeah.
Ow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Like, it was literally like you had big wins over top tier teams in this first half of the season, and it's like they dominated the Buccaneers in a really gritty game. I remember that one pretty well. They dominated the Dolphins, and that kind of created that fraud talk of the Dolphins after that one, and beating the Cowboys in a close one in that first one, which was a controversial win, but nonetheless they beat them. You beat the Kansas City Chiefs, who go on to win the Super Bowl. You beat the Bills in a close one that was super scary on both ends, honestly, and was a pace changer for both teams. The Eagles, it was clear that something was wrong. The Bills made a change at offensive coordinator, and they did opposite things to finish their season. The Bills go out, turn their season a full 180 and win the division, and then the Eagles take a different type of 180 and get shit stomped by the 49ers and totally fucked by the Cowboys. The Cowboys totally proved it right that first win was a fraud win, and then you lose a close one to the Seahawks. Yeah, you beat the Giants, but you lose to the Cardinals, you lose to the Giants in the final game of the season. You go out and you absolutely flop against the Buccaneers in the playoffs. I haven't seen a sharper fall off for a team than this one for the Eagles.
Was the game? Yeah, no, it was in Tampa. Never mind. I thought it was in Philadelphia. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. They gave up a lot of passing yards this season.
Yeah,
like a shit ton. They were 31st in the league as far as passing yards go. 30th in points against, 26th in total yards. It wasn't all great for them. Jalen Hurts threw an alarming amount of interceptions this year. I don't like him throwing 15. But he also, he threw 15 picks, but he also rushed for 15 touchdowns.
Yeah, which is absurd.
In 600 yards. So, he kind of made up for it there. DeAndre Swift was okay at the beginning of the year, but definitely when the team took a turn for worse, so did he. A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, definitely the highlights of this entire team for me. They were really the only guys that, played consistent all throughout, I would say. Dallas Goedert, a little unimpressive this year, comparing him to recent years. James Bradbury sucks. Shaq Leonard can't stay healthy. He sucks. Kevin Byard only played 10 games. I mean, their secondary was beat up all year long, and they had to kind of rely on rookie Jalen Carter to be their pass rusher because Hassan Reddick, after a while, he finished with 11 sacks, but he wasn't really, I think, all that consistent, in my opinion, throughout the year. Philly had it. Like you said, they were 10-1, and they just completely fell apart, which really, really surprised me.
Yeah, now Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelce are retired, and Hassan Reddick has been traded. Yes, they made other great moves. Bryce Huff, they pick up from the Jets, which was a great pickup at the defensive line. And then picking up Saquon, of course, is a fantastic move. But when I'm looking at what happened to this team down the stretch and the coaching issues all year, like what happened to the defense in that second half where, like, they gave up on the defensive coordinator and then Matt Patricia was their defensive coordinator, I guess, at some point. I genuinely could not keep up with all the issues. And I think looking at it now, like the fallout of what happened this season. Okay, I'm going to say this first one because I think it's obvious. Nick Sirianni is not like a great coach. And I think
he had me fooled.
Okay. From the jump last season, I thought he was a bit of a cornball. Yeah. That's the word I'm going to use for Nick Sirianni. Now I think he's a fraud. He's gotten into fraud territory. Now I'm going to say something that you might need to check me on. and it could be an overreaction. Jalen Hurts still needs to prove it, right? Like, there's still things to prove for Jalen Hurts as a quarterback.
I'm checking you. Check.
Okay.
Check.
Okay. No,
Tuesday.
feel free. Please do. Because,
Tuesday.
I think the thing is like, his first season as the starter was, I guess, last year, kind of. And it was great. Now he's gotten a second year, and it's not as good.
Maybe I'll take my check back, because 15 interceptions with the best running back you've had in Philadelphia, in DeAndre Swift, at least in my opinion, Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown. You still got Dallas Goedert there. I will admit, yes, 15 interceptions is a ridiculous amount for those kind of weapons.
And I'm not saying he's not, like, the starter for this team. And I'm not saying he's, like, not a starter in the NFL. What I'm saying is, like, he still needs to prove that, like, he's a top 5, top 10 quarterback in this league.
That's fair. Would you have Jared Goff over Jalen Hurts?
At the moment, yeah. Goff looks like a winner at the moment.
Yeah.
That's what I see from Jared Goff. And he's done it now for 2 seasons. Whereas, and we've seen such a big sample size of Jared Goff being a successful quarterback in the NFL. Now, with Hurts, it's like, yes, we're still early into his career, but this is kind of the time that you prove it. I don't want to compare these two quarterbacks, but they did kind of similar things despite the fact that one of them was injured this past year. Daniel Jones had a fantastic year last year. All of a sudden, everybody's writing him off after he got paid. The same thing is kind of happening to Jalen Hurts. People are losing belief in Jalen Hurts after what happened this season. They just made him the second highest paid quarterback in the league an offseason ago. Like, this is when you come out and prove it, because Lamar got the biggest bag and went out and won an MVP and took his team to the AFC Championship in a close one, almost made the Super Bowl, and was one of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts got paid and had a lackluster year based on expectations, and his team totally died in the second half of the year.
Which, you would also kind of look to the quarterback to kind of help suppress that.
Yeah, because it wasn't just the defense. Yes, the defense was atrocious, but you had losses where you scored 19 and 13 and 17 and 10. Like, that's where the issues lie.
So are you questioning Jalen Hurts' ability as well as his leadership?
I think I'm questioning Jalen Hurts as, like, a top-tier quarterback. I'm not saying he can't be a leader, because I think it would have taken more than leadership to get through the bullshit they were going through at the end of the year last year. And I think what we saw in those big wins, like we talked about, was proof that he's a good leader and can lead this offense, and they can be successful. I think it's the outside factors that affect this team and affected them all season that threw everything off. You can't be a leader, you can be a leader, but it's not going to change the fact that there is just dysfunctionality throughout this franchise that happened all through that second half of the season. So I'm not questioning him as a leader, and I'm not questioning him even as a quarterback. I'm questioning him as a top tier, like top 5 quarterback, because that's the trajectory he was on at the end of last season. It was like, okay, now Jalen Hurts is in the conversation with the big boys. He's in there with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and all these guys up near the top, Lamar Jackson amongst others. So now it's like, is he still there? Can he hang around in that conversation? Or do we need to put him more back, towards the guys like, I guess Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford and some of these guys that, maybe they're not at the top, like the top tier of this league, but they're still great quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think this upcoming season is the season to, bounce back. How can he bounce back?
Yeah.
So, I agree with that. I'm going to go ahead and give my grade. The Eagles, being 10-1, I mean, I thought they were, going to go back to the Super Bowl, I'm sure, as a lot of people did, but being 10-1 and finishing 11-6 really, really hurts you. So I gave them a C+.
I gave them a B-. I think no matter what, it's difficult to start 10-1.
Yeah.
Despite what all everything else that transpired, going 10-1 is crazy to start a season. And then yes, things start falling off. The defense falls off. What have it, and that ended up being the problem all the way through, was the defense and the off the field shit that was happening. So I gave him a B-. Maybe I'm being a little too nice, but I think what they did achieve in the regular season was still great until they get to that tough stretch there at the end.
That's fair. My last cool stat for the Eagles this year is Julio Jones caught 3 touchdowns for them.
That's crazy.
Oh, going and looking at like these like box stats, you can really find a lot of interesting shit that you completely missed.
Yeah.
Throughout the season, but
I'm sure there's a lot of fun offensive stats for the Cowboys. They're the first place team in this division, and good God, do they have a fucking offense.
Holy cow.
I'll just clue you guys in on something. They only scored under 20 points twice.
Yeah, the Cowboys reminded me a lot of like the Killer Bees era in Pittsburgh, where you would probably be the most exciting team in the NFL, but those 5 losses, like some of those losses are just kind of like, oh my fucking God.
Like the Cardinals?
Yeah.
The Cardinals lost so bad. You got the brakes beaten off you by the 49ers. You had that close one against the Eagles, like we've talked about. But then like the Bills dominate you. You lose a close one on the road to the Dolphins. But I will say, home field is a crazy thing. Obviously, wasn't too great in the playoffs. But it was certainly a big deal for them all year because they were undefeated at home all season until that postseason.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, is it fair to say that like CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek Hill are 1-2 in the league at their position probably after last year?
I think so. Yeah, CeeDee Lamb is elite.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb was crazy.
Well, okay. Justin Jefferson certainly has something to say there. And I guess Jamar Chase does as well, because both of them, quarterback injuries, personal injuries, throw them off. But I think if we're looking at like a top 5 wide receivers, all 4 of the names we just said are there.
Yeah, definitely. I think what hurt the Cowboys' offense for me was, everything was firing on all cylinders, and I think a lot of people, including myself, maybe you as well, thought that it was going to be Tony Pollard time.
Yeah.
No Ezekiel Elliott. You don't really bring in a second guy to help him out. You kind of just rock with Rico Dowdle there. But Tony Pollard was really just kind of underwhelming all season long.
Yeah, he had his games, I think, which was nice, but it was clear that and I think part of it was that they didn't pay him. They franchise tag him in the offseason, and you're like, we're committing to you as the guy by getting rid of Zeke, but we don't really want to commit, so we're just going to franchise tag you.
Then he ended up leaving.
Yeah, I think they just kind of showed they didn't have all that much confidence in him, and maybe it was for the right reasons, but I think that also stunted how he played.
It definitely could have stunted how he played, but, you wonder the other side. What if he did show up? What if he did rush for like 1,100 yards? Would they have given him a big contract?
I think so. Knows? I think it was a prove-it year for him on that franchise tag, but, clearly he didn't prove it, and I think that kind of, has to do with both sides.
Yeah. Definitely. I think adding guys like Brandon Cooks they ended up helping the team in the long run, but overall, I would say individually, Brandon Cooks and Michael Gallup were kind of underwhelming. I thought that both of them were going to play.
Yeah, I think it's tough when CeeDee Lamb was just the center of attention. Jake Ferguson was having a week, a great week after great week.
Ferguson was amazing.
Yeah, fantastic replacement for Dalton Schultz.
For sure. Yeah, probably better than Dalton Schultz, I would say.
I would say, especially at this point in their careers, you can't beat that young, very good tight end play.
Definitely. And this Cowboys secondary, man, oh my God, were they something to marvel at all year long? It makes me wish that Trevon Diggs was healthy for a lot of it, but Stephon Gilmore had a crazy year, and then obviously the man, DeRon Bland, 9 interceptions and 5 touchdowns? Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, I want to say something real quick. It's a little bit off topic, but it just kind of got into my head when we said Jake Ferguson and kind of talked about how great he's been. Are we in an age of the tight end?
Definitely.
I think, yes, Kelsey is kind of nearing probably the end of his career.
Yep.
Definitely in the back half. Same goes for Kittle, but and probably Mark Andrews as well with injury problems. But
these new
guys are crazy. Just the guys that emerged this past season are crazy, with the likes of Jake Ferguson, who wasn't a rookie, but I think a second-year player this season. And then you go across the league, young players and rookies from last season. Kyle Pitts is still a young tight end in this league that has a lot of promise. And now with
Sam Laporta,
much better quarterback play, Sam Laporta is going to be great. We saw great things out of Dalton Kincaid in Buffalo.
Oh, yeah.
I think, you look at Cole Kmet in Chicago, who's been fantastic for a number of years now. And then you go over, and there's some guys that haven't even gotten their chance to shine yet, like Michael Mayer, who has a ton of upside in Las Vegas. And then you look in Green Bay, you've got 3 young tight ends that got significant snaps this year. And they were all great. The notable ones, Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft, were awesome. All around the league, we have this resurgence, or, maybe kind of the beginning of an age of tight ends that are much different. And then coming out of this draft class, you have Brock Bowers, who might be one of the best we've seen ever. There's no telling.
I completely agree with you, and it goes back because I've watched documentaries where, like, the tight ends of today, they always revert back to talking about, I think, Kellen Winslow is the name I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. He was a tight end, but he was kind of your first tight end that, tight ends have always been so athletic. Kellen Winslow was your first guy that kind of was like doing it all. And, the tight ends of today, just, athletes across all sports are becoming more athletic than ever. And tight ends are your bigger wide receivers, but they can block like a lineman.
Yeah.
And they're just they're very, very valuable players. They're huge and they're very, very athletic.
Yeah, and I think what's nice is it's almost become similar to the running back position, where it's like, okay, I have my tight end for this and my tight end for that. Like, I have my receiving tight end and I have my blocking tight end. So you can have guys that are a little bit more of like receiving game specialist tight ends, like Kyle Pitts and like, some of these other guys, Brock Bowers, who's about to come out of this draft, Travis Kelce, of course. But then you have your George Kittles, which, yes, he's more of a balanced guy, but his blocking is ridiculous. And, maybe you have kind of a 2 tight end system like Buffalo had with Dawson Knox, who is a very good blocker, and Dalton Kincaid, who's a very good pass catcher.
Yeah. Definitely. I agree completely there.
Super interesting stuff to be looking forward with tight ends. But back to what we were talking about with the Cowboys, I think this offense was 10 times better than I could have expected, and I'm surprised we haven't said the name Dak Prescott yet, because he was outstanding. Genuinely.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing, he reduced the interception numbers.
Reading my mind.
It's amazing what he was able to do this season. And you can still say that the Cowboys can't win a playoff game. What I care about is what he was able to achieve this regular season. This guy was an MVP candidate all year. He was ridiculous. He had, streaks of 400-plus yards. Streaks of 3+ touchdowns. Like, his play was genuinely ridiculous. Something we haven't seen from him since his rookie season.
Yeah,
and he's just continuing to do it.
I think a lot of the offensive success can be attributed to the lower interceptions this year, because you and I, last season, we would always shit on Dak Prescott, like, what would this Cowboys offense genuinely look like if he could reduce his interceptions?
Yeah, and it looked amazing.
Here you go.
It was 12-5, and it won the division in a heated race, and it beat some teams that nobody would have expected them to beat. It was crazy.
The Cowboys, I would argue, and this is going to be a huge hot take, out of any regular season team, they looked the best. Sure, They lost their games here and there, but they murdered.
I think the Ravens.
Absolutely murdered some teams.
I think the Ravens and 49ers would have some words for them, but I can agree.
But there's a case. 43-20 against the Rams. You lose to Philadelphia. 49-17 against the Giants. 33-10 against Carolina. 45-10 against Washington.
Yes, they were extremely good
against Seattle.
They were extremely good at dominating a bad defense and dominating like a mediocre defense. But like, as a whole, sometimes those performances, like offense, defense put together, weren't the best. That Seahawks win, super close, shouldn't have been that close. 41-35. You have games where, like, obviously the 49ers loss is brutal. The loss to the Dolphins and the Bills, like, it just seems like there was a couple times they couldn't put it all together, but overall they were fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with you there.
Yeah.
And Micah Parsons, elite.
Yeah, Deron Bland, didn't even say his name. Crazy. Pick six machine.
Yeah.
And this team didn't even have Trayvon Diggs all year.
No.
Which is even crazier.
I would argue that Stephon Gilmore is still a dog in this league.
Yeah.
As well, too. He is still crazy. Sucks that they're losing Leighton Vander Esch. That's one thing I would like to see for the Cowboys going forward, is trying to get more linebackers in there.
Yeah.
Their D-line's been great for years now. Their secondary, healthy, is one of the best in the league on paper. They just need to get more linebackers that can hang around, stay healthy.
Yeah, which they went out and they got Eric Kendricks, so not a bad pickup.
Adding a veteran guy there.
Yeah. So I give him an A- on this season.
I gave them an A.
Okay.
And the reason, that I didn't give them an A- because I was teetering there. I wouldn't have ever given them an A+. But just the blowout wins.
Yeah.
Against anybody. They just had it.
Fair enough.
They could do it.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for NFC East season grade. So we have gone through every single team. We've given them a grade. Yeah, I really enjoyed this series. I think it was a little more fun than just talking players and positions, because we still got to do it throughout, but we also got to talk about the whole team in general. So this was a fun series. We'll probably revisit this next season.
Definitely. A lot better than going through top tens, because the note making for that was like 2.5 hours.
It is grueling. Yeah. But yes, this was a very fun series to do. And now we've got the draft to look forward to, and then it kind of just goes into like that off-season news time, which is an interesting part of the season for the NFL.
Oh man, it's like you have your free agency draft, and then we're left with nothing.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I feel that. So, well, let's talk about the season that is underway and off to a hot start. The MLB. My God, I
love baseball right now, bro.
It's so much fun.
Baseball.
It is so much fun right now. And I'd like to start with the MLB's updated pitcher power rankings.
Oh boy, I saw this.
It's not that bad. I think it's really not that bad. So you've got Corbin Burns at 1, Zach Wheeler at 2, Zach Gallen at 3. I like it. I don't know if that's perfect. If we're just going off of what we've seen this season, that's probably not the case. But I think all things included and what we can expect from those 3 pitchers, it makes sense for them to be the top 3.
Yeah.
And then you go down the list, and I have a couple of questions here. Okay. So, if we're going off of what we've seen this season and what we're looking forward to seeing, is probably how I would say this. Why the fuck is Yamamoto ahead of Ronel Blanco, Garrett Crochet, and Cole Reagans, who have all put in great starts in all of their starts, whereas Yamamoto had a fucking stinker to start off his season and is starting to bring it back?
I don't know. Is he ahead of Pablo Lopez on that list, too?
Pablo Lopez right ahead of him at 6, and then Tarek Skubal at 5, Tyler Glasnow at 4. Glasnow may be an overreaction at 4, but he has been fantastic to start. And I want to talk about his last start. It was amazing. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, no walks, no earned runs, and a career high 14 strikeouts. Like he is firing on all cylinders right now.
Oh,
but
that makes me so
if we're
happy.
talking about what we can expect, we don't know what to expect from Tyler Glasnow.
Nope.
That's my issue with him at 4. I think a guy like Tarek Skubal, who's done this for 2 seasons now, he's been great, and people just weren't really talking about him because he was on the Tigers. Maybe he has something better to expect. Maybe Pablo Lopez, who has been an elite strikeout pitcher for the last 3 seasons and really built up his resume last year, should have a higher ranking just by precedent over Tyler Glasnow. I don't hate the ranking. I just think they're inconsistent on how they grade these guys.
Unless they're just grading on this season alone.
But then in that case, a guy like Tyler Glasnow or Tarek Skubal would be at the top ahead of guys like, Gallen, who slipped up at times, and the same goes for Zach Wheeler.
That's fair. It just seems inconsistent, I guess.
And also, another thing to point out, so many guys ripped off of this list by injury.
Oh, yeah.
It sucks, man. The injuries are a big, big problem.
I had something actually I can add to that. I saw this stat that I was going to add to my MLB recap, but I guess I forgot about it. But now would be the perfect time to bring it up. There's been a lot of rule changes against pitchers that have altered their mechanics very severely. And you have pitchers, in 2024, 2023 that are throwing harder than ever. And I saw this one stat that in 2023, there were more pitcher injuries than there were in the entire decade of the 90s.
Wow.
Or more Tommy John injuries.
Wow. Yeah, and I think what I hate, I hate to go back into this because I talked about it on Monday's episode, but I think each side of this argument, the MLB Players Association and the MLB, are discounting each other's arguments. The MLB has a good argument that the increased importance on spin rate and velocity are leading to injuries. The MLB Players Association has just as good of an argument that the pitch clock being shortened from 20 seconds to 18 seconds this offseason is a big part of it, and just the pitch clock in general is a big part of this. I think it's more the combination of both.
Yeah.
These guys could take as long as they wanted to and could throw whatever they'd like, and there was a little bit more importance on finesse and control. Now we're kind of revisiting an age of velocity and strength and spin rate, which is a big deal. But now they can't give themselves a break. They get the ball back, and you've essentially got to be ready by 8 seconds when the batter's in the box.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's really hard to weigh, honestly.
I don't know. I hate injuries to these pitchers. It
sucks. But also,
really
the MLB
sucks.
has done it to itself, and the MLBPA as well, because they have to go with this stuff. It doesn't just the MLB doesn't just go, all right, we're changing this, get over it. No, there's collective bargaining agreements. That's why there's lockouts and everything. And so the MLBPA agreed to this, which means the players and their representatives in the MLB Players Association agreed to these terms. I think, yes, we're bettering the game, but it's clear that the MLB has placed the emphasis on offense. Offense sells.
Oh, yeah.
A guy hitting, having a 4 home run game is amazing. And guys breaking records and shattering records and stealing a ton of bases and hitting a ton of home runs is way better for the brand of the MLB than a guy that goes out and pitches, 7 lights out innings.
Yep.
So, we'll see what happens with, the continuation of this, but I don't think we can start pointing fingers for a couple more years. I have to see the actual product of these rule changes instead of the instant idea of them.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'd like to talk about the Royals. Today, they decided to rail the Astros in the first inning. Oh, my God. They just decided to fuck the Astros. 9 runs in the first inning.
Did you see Bobby Witt Jr. get hit by his own teammate and still make the play?
Yes.
He's the greatest player I've ever seen.
It's insane.
He's the greatest player I've ever seen.
You're turning into Colin right now.
No, I'm being sarcastic.
That play was sick.
I hate the glazing of this guy, bro.
Bobby Witt is a fantastic player, though.
Dude, oh, man.
What?
He's good. He's good.
Okay.
He's good. But
I think he's great. But yeah.
The MLB, I feel like they are jumping on the fact that the Royals, hit.
Well, I think what they like about the Royals is the youth. There's a lot of youth to talk about with the Royals because they've had so many bad seasons where it's they're going to highlight the fact that in this first inning, Bobby Witt and Vinny Pasquantino and Michael Garcia all went 2 for 2 in the first inning against the Astros. It's almost good for the MLB to promote teams beating the shit out of the Astros now.
I agree with that. I'm not mad about who they did it against. I'm just, I am heavily slamming my brakes on the Royals.
Yeah. Also, if you didn't see that play, it is insane to make that play.
Absolutely ridiculous. Why did the other guy run into him?
Well, Bobby Witt ran a little out of his range.
I was going to say, it looked like a second base play.
It was. But I will say, they were shifted a little bit, so like it made more sense momentum-wise for Bobby to make that play. Sorry, I had to sneeze. It made more sense for Bobby Witt to make that play because the second baseman was going to be having to run back, backhand, turn around, and make the play at first.
Yeah.
But, like, it's insane that Bobby Witt made the play while his teammate jumped over him and kneed him in the head and still got the guy out at first.
That is true.
Aaron Boone got his first ejection of the year, and I don't blame him.
I watched it live.
I don't blame him because that umpire was ass. I can't remember his first name. His last name's Bacon. But he was awful. It was a 78% called strike accuracy. Shout out umpire scorecards.
Yeah.
Crazy.
They've been, to me, and maybe it's just because I've watched more baseball, but to me, like, I think the umpires have gotten a little bit worse this year. I have seen Aaron Judge get rang up on shoelace pitches all season long. It's not been good. And in last game, it kept happening to Verdugo, out of all people. It's like he don't do it to Verdugo. He needs all the help he can fucking get in the batter's box.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was bad. But I like that Boone went out there.
Yeah.
It needed to happen.
No, I like it. How many ejections do you think he's getting this year? 6?
How many did he have last year?
I don't know. I'm going to go with 6 for this season, though.
I'll go with 8.
Okay. We'll see. Maybe he just gets fired. I do still think he's on the hot seat. I don't care how they start. I will be putting somebody on watch for something else, and I hate to do this because I'm not a fan of talking about this issue. I think somebody's got the yips.
Oh,
it's unfortunate, and I don't want to put it out there into the world, but I'm going to because it's an awful start for him. And I wasn't anticipating it, but David Bednar has been atrocious for the Pirates.
Yeah.
He's blown 3 saves already this season. And his most recent one, he pitched a third of an inning, gave up 3 hits and 4 runs with a 2-run lead in the 9th. Or sorry, in the 8th, crazy. I believe.
They're 9-3. Is he all their losses then?
Yeah.
Oh my god. So they should be undefeated.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's brutal.
Yeah, well, he had I saw, like, he had a teammate. I forget who the teammate was, but the teammate was, like, talking about how Pittsburgh's been a little bit hard on him.
Yeah, well, the fans booed him. So that would make sense. But we'll move on from that. I don't think he has the yips. I don't want him to because it sucks. But he's got to figure his shit out because it's a bad start. Mike Trout has now hit 10 consecutive solo home runs dating back to last season, meaning his last 10 home runs have been solo shots, and he has now hit 235 solo shots of his 373 career home runs.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So that's
he's not a leadoff.
63%. No, not a leadoff. He's almost always batted third or second. 63% of his career home runs are solo shots. Only player in MLB history to have at least 373 or more home runs with 60% being solo shots is Alfonso Soriano, who was a leadoff for a decent amount of his career, which was 249 of 412, which is 60.4%.
Damn. Yeah, it's been brutal for Mike Trout his whole career.
Yeah, it sucks, man. He needs to get traded.
Yeah.
I got a guy who might need to get traded, too. The Cardinals center fielder Victor Scott II. After what he did in this game against the Phillies, he better lose his job.
What happened?
He dropped a routine fly ball in center field because he played it wrong and had to turn around, and then it hit his glove and hit the ground, which allowed Kyle Schwarber, of all people, to score from first base.
Holy shit.
And then he legged out an infield single and made a move towards second base and then slowly walked back to the bag, got tagged out because he turned towards second base. What the fuck are you doing, man?
Oh, dude. That's not good.
Figure it out. Honestly, I'm going to keep doing these segues. Speaking of figuring it out, the Mets need to figure out what's going on with the catcher position. They can't throw anybody out, and people are stealing bases at will. As of, I think, a day ago, they had allowed 21 stolen bases in their 96 innings, and it is by far the most in Major League Baseball. 50% more than any other team.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and they're also the only team that is yet to catch a runner stealing.
Oh.
So Francisco Alvarez, their highly touted young catcher, not so good.
Just put Lindor back there.
Yeah, fuck it. He's a Gold Glover. He'll figure it out.
Yeah, he'll do something.
Yeah. Byron Buxton has finally snapped the Twins' hitless streak with runners in scoring position. When I reported about this on Monday, it was 0 for 24. It ends at 0 for 33 with an RBI hit for Byron Buxton with runners in scoring position.
Damn, 0 for 33. That's terrible.
Really bad. I think it was 3 or 4 straight games. Very bad. I got a question for you. I know we typically keep these for questions time, but who has the most total home runs for the Miami Marlins since 2017?
Giancarlo Stanton.
It sure
I
is.
have that stat as well.
Yes, Mike Stanton, as others may know him as, has 59 home runs for the Marlins since 2017, which is one season's worth. In second place is Brian Anderson, who I also don't think plays there anymore. And then it's Jazz.
Close?
Yeah, Jazz is third. Still a jarring stat for the Miami Marlins, who have made it to the playoffs twice in that span.
Damn, yeah. Speaking of Jazz, what do we think about Jazz now? Is he a bust? What's going on with Jazz?
He's the only guy with a positive or a over 100 OPS plus for that team right now.
Wow.
So, yeah, and I think it's like 110. It's not great. But yeah. I don't know about bust. I'd say he's got to figure it out by the end of this year, or he will be a bust. Because last year, he was on the cover of MLB The Show, so that could have just been the cover athlete curse. But this year, I don't know. We'll see.
He has no excuse.
Yeah. Last thing I've got, the Seattle Mariners have scored more runs in the 10th inning than any of the first 9 this year. Yeah, 8 runs scored in the 10th inning, and they've only played the 10th twice. In the 9th inning, they've scored 6. The 2nd, they've scored 6. 7th, they've scored 5. 3rd, 6th, and 8th, they've scored 4. 4th inning, they've scored 3. 9th inning, the first inning, they've scored 2. In the 5th inning, they've scored 0.
So don't go to extra innings against Seattle.
Yeah, unless you're going to mash them in the 10th, because I don't know what they're capable of in the 11th.
Yeah.
They haven't made it that far. That's kind of all I've got.
All right, well, I have a lot here.
Please.
How about Mason Miller? Have you seen this guy?
Yes, he's absurd.
Holy shit. He got his first save earlier this week. It may have been Tuesday, I think. He is a dog.
Yeah.
He has some nasty stuff.
Crazy horizontal break on his pitches. Oh, my God.
Crazy.
I think he had one of 33 inches in the same game. He also had one 29 and 27 inches of break.
Damn.
Ridiculous.
The Yankees became the first team to 10 wins, I believe it was on Tuesday. That is the third time in the team's history that they have won 10 of their first 12 games. The other 3 times, 2003, 1949, and 1922, they won the AL pennant.
Nice. Can't say World Series because of 2003, I would assume.
No.
Yeah.
No, we can't. Let's see what else I got here. Here's some sad news. Trevor Story.
Yeah.
Brutal injury and press conference was hard to watch.
Yeah.
From him. I don't know what it is, but baseball injuries are just so much more. They're so dramatic. And they just feel so much worse.
Well, I think a big part of that is how much you miss. If you're out for 4 months, you missed a lot of fucking games. You're missing like 100 games in 4 months. Whereas, 4 months in any sport is crazy, but like if you miss a season, You've missed 162 chances of getting on the field. I think it just is the pure scale makes it so much worse.
Yeah, it's and you know, for a lot of these like arm and shoulder surgeries, I feel like there's a lot of uncertainty as if will you ever come back the same?
Yeah. Yeah. Because, like, yes, we talk about it with, leg injuries. Will guys keep their speed, their explosiveness, whatever, in all sports, honestly. But not a lot of other sports deal with arm injuries. Football, a quarterback might, Brock Purdy, obviously, had to get Tommy John last year. But it's just like, it's not as big of a deal in any other sport. And it's truly detrimental.
Yeah, for sure. Just a bummer for Trevor Story. I don't care if he's a Red Sox. It sucks for anybody.
Also, speaking of Red Sox, did you see Tyler O'Neill had just the lead in home runs?
That is my perfect segue because I'm going to get into, as of April 8th, these are your AL WAR leaders.
Nice.
Anthony Volpe
wow.
actually has this list. He's the top as a 1.0 WAR. His defense and just ability to get on base this season has been amazing. I have loved watching Anthony Volpe. He has made up a lot for Aaron Judge sucking. It really, our offense is Volpe and Juan Soto right now.
Yeah.
The two sure guys. Second place is Jesus Christ. Oh, sorry, I meant Bobby Witt Jr.
Nice.
He's a 9 point, or a 0.9. Juan Soto behind him at a 0.8. Tyler O'Neill tied with Juan Soto at a 0.8. So to your point, he's playing crazy. And then Mike Trout with a 0.7 is your top 5. Nice. And that was as of April 8th.
Yeah, and I think
3 days ago.
Mike Trout is officially, I think he's like the 50th player to reach 80 B WAR in his career, I think was the number.
5th player?
50th, sorry.
Okay, 50th. Gotcha.
Which is still absurd.
I want to go back to the point that you were about to make, because Tyler O'Neill, I've never heard of this guy.
Really?
He's 4th on this list, so I want you to
educate me. Yeah.
What's been going on with him?
Spent time on he started his career with the Cardinals, was great for them. Really broke out like a handful of years ago. And yeah, he's a built fucking guy. Giant, like swole fucking outfielder. He hits for power. He's got pretty good speed as well for his size and strength. He is just a 5-tool player, but it's never been fully put on display. He's had seasons, he's had months. Just doesn't seem like for a career he's been able to do it. He's always been great, but he's never been like a top player in the MLB. And this would be a great time for him to do it.
Yeah, he's 5'11", but he's 210 fucking pounds. Holy, he's a brick shithouse.
Yeah, have you looked at a picture of him?
Yeah, I'm seeing one here. Yeah, he's got his shirt off at Fenway. Yeah, he looks like he could have played in the 90s.
Oh yeah, big time. Speaking of that, have you seen all the allegations that Adolis Garcia's on roids?
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
I'm seeing some compelling head size comparisons.
Yeah,
from his time with the Cardinals to now, and it's very Barry Bonds like.
I don't know of a lot of head workouts you can do.
No, I don't.
I don't know either. Little cool thing here. On Monday, Nestor Cortez went 8 innings for the first time, and his stat line was he only gave up 2 hits, no runs, and 6 strikeouts.
Yeah.
So how about that, Nestor Cortez? This is I'm gonna skip over the 2 questions that I have for you. Did you hear about Alex Manoah's single A rehab start?
Yes, I talked about it on Monday's episode.
Perfect.
He's never gonna play in the MLB ever again. Right?
No, he's not. Absolutely not. Well, if you want to hear about it, go watch Monday's episode. I won't go into it. How about Reniel Blanco? His first Reniel Blanco's 44 outs before first hit allowed are the most by a pitcher to begin a season since 1961 merger. So it could have been even longer.
Wow.
Yeah. Somehow still lower than Yamamoto on that list.
It's crazy.
I don't understand that. Now I have 2 questions for you.
Okay.
One is just a general knowledge question. I didn't really notice this either. Did you know that King Felix threw 8 consecutive seasons of 200 innings pitched?
He's a fucking dog. I don't
It's
think people
crazy.
realize because he played on a Mariners team that was just perennially bad. But yeah, Felix Hernandez, if you want to go watch some fantastic baseball, go back and watch Felix Hernandez in the mid 2010s.
Yeah.
Because he was a fucking dog.
That shit was crazy. I think what really hurt me for Felix is I remember him kind of ending his career poorly.
Yeah, it wasn't
the best when
a
he got
great.
older.
No, it wasn't great.
And then here's a opinion question for you. Top MLB rivalries via ESPN. I got a top 5 for you here. We're gonna discuss.
Okay, yeah, I think me and Colin have talked about this one before.
Was it the Phillies Braves is 1?
No, we have argued multiple times that it should be.
Well, ESPN has it at 1.
Good.
Yankees Astros is 2.
Yeah.
Padres Dodgers is 3rd.
Sure.
Rangers Astros is 4th. Yankees Red Sox is 5th.
I think Yankees Red Sox has totally lost its shine.
I will agree with you.
100% has. I think when it comes down to division rivals, playoff rivalry, Phillies Braves dominates this.
Yeah, as a Yankees fan, I will admit yes.
I think the big part of obviously Red Sox Yankees is just historic, but like you don't often get a great rivalry of division teams within their division that have matched up in the playoffs 3 straight years or 2 straight years, and they just it goes either way every single time, except obviously in the playoffs as of recent.
I might even bump off either Padres Dodgers or Rangers Astros to fit in Braves Mets just of the sheer hatred alone.
I think so. Me and Colin actually had this conversation driving back from the Braves game, and right now I have to hate the Phillies more than the Mets. Overall, I hate the Mets way more.
Yeah.
Because I think their fans are ridiculous. And they spend so much money for nothing. But like, because like I can respect Philly fans because they are insane. They are genuinely mentally insane people. And I respect that. Mets fans are bitches. So it's
not a Frank the Tank guy?
No, I love Frank the Tank because he hates the Mets. He does. He hates the Mets. So I share that with him. I think he also has said before, like, the Braves never lose. So love that.
Oh, I got a surprise for you. I turned the page of my notes and I have more notes to go through with you.
Please continue.
The Naylor brothers yesterday. Oh my God. National Sibling Day?
Yeah.
Holy shit. And then one of them hit a walk-off.
Yeah. Also, all-time baseball guy move by Josh Naylor. He got walked and proceeded to slam his bat on the ground and just yell fuck because he wanted to hit the ball. Love that. That's awesome.
That's awesome. I like that too. And then you already talked about it, but you know, the infamous Jackson Holliday made his debut. The first defensive play that he made was a successful double play. And he also had a little sacrifice ground out RBI in that game as well.
The video of them telling him he was getting called up was awesome. He was like, hey, like the manager of the AAA team was like, hey, you should call your dad. Get him to Baltimore.
That was cool. Because I love Matt Holliday.
Yeah, Matt Holliday's awesome. The video of Jackson Holliday when he was 3 years old in 2006, playing around with his dad on the field at the Rockies game is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it bothers me that I'm older than him. I'm getting into that point where I'm older than the professional athletes. It kills me. I'm like a year older than Jackson Chourio, and he has like 3 homers already.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Yeah, Matt Holliday fell into one of the Yankee category of a Yankee player who never played for the Yankees, but probably for about a year or two at the very end of their career, but was a superstar.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but the Yankees are kings of getting players like that.
Yeah.
Like Jacoby Ellsbury.
Yeah. DJ LeMahieu for like 2 years.
Yeah, just weird players like that. But I loved Matt Holliday as a Yankee. Yankees, age 22 or younger, with 15 plus hits, 5 plus walks, 5 plus extra base hits in first 10 games of their season. Lou Gehrig, 1926. Derek Jeter in 1997. Anthony Volpe.
Wow.
This season in 2024. How about that?
Okay. Do you think Volpe's like the future of this team now? Other than Judge, of course.
I don't know. Volpe seems a lot more quiet than Jeter, which is weird to say.
Jeter
was
not
a
hitting
quiet
home runs.
guy. Yeah. Jeter was a really quiet guy, but was a very loud leader.
Yeah.
Anthony Volpe doesn't
He's a highlight
come off
guy
like that
too.
to me. And he was a highlight guy. Is Anthony Volpe the future of shortstop for the New York Yankees? Which, you know, a New York Yankees shortstop I feel like is a perennial position in the MLB. Is he the future
Really
of
just
that?
Jeter.
For sure.
All time, it's really just Jeter.
Yeah, that is true. It is just Jeter. But I gotta talk like a Yankees fan when I come on here. So
fair enough.
That was my last thing.
Okay.
All of that to say, the MLB is fantastic. I have never enjoyed baseball more in 2024. Everything's going great. I just wish we won last night.
Yeah,
God, I hated that I watched that game.
Yeah, well,
Fucking hated that.
You've got a chance to win this weekend, and there's quite a few people. Actually, everybody in the MLB has a chance to win this weekend because they're playing. Let's see. Not a lot of great series. Pirates Phillies sounds very good right now. Pirates obviously killing it, 9-3. 6-1 on the road is crazy for the Pirates, and then the Phillies need to do better. They're only 2-4 at home, which is just more and more fact that the Phillies fans only show up for playoff games. Brewers Orioles is a fantastic series. Let's see.
So far, you've not named any of the ones that I have.
Yeah, Yankees Guardians is great. Rangers Astros. Cardinals Diamondbacks should be better than it probably will be. I know that's a weird thing to say. And Padres Dodgers, of course.
And then I'll go through the pitching matches. You said Rangers Astros. Eovaldi and Javier on Sunday. That'll be nice.
I like that.
Padres Dodgers. I actually have two for them. Yamamoto versus Michael King, the old Yankee, kind of reliever turned starting pitcher, will play on a Friday. Michael King has had some very good outings as a starting pitcher. Last year as a Yankee, he had a couple of good ones, and then I think with the Padres this year, he's had some decent ones. But that'll be a good one. And then I have a weird one for you.
Okay.
Yu Darvish is going against Paxton.
James Paxton?
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Didn't realize he still played.
I
knew he was on the Dodgers. Didn't realize he was actually going to pitch.
Yeah, and then my last series I have is Cubs Mariners. Should be pretty good as well.
Yeah, that one should be good. We getting Shota Imanaga versus Emerson Hancock on Sunday. Hancock really needs to bounce back. That loss killed his ERA.
11 ERA, I think, right now, isn't he?
Yeah. But he's a young guy, so he's got time to get better. All right. Well, that's kind of it for the MLB Weekend Preview. So let's go across the pond as we do every week and talk about the Premier League. Now, not the best week in the Premier League, but at this point in the season, every week matters for everybody. So we'll start off with Newcastle versus Spurs. I wanted to talk about this. Now I don't. Very quickly, I don't want to talk about this. But look, Newcastle is in a position to make a big jump. Manchester United and West Ham ahead of them. Only 2 points clearing them behind Man United, 1 point behind West Ham. They have the chance to jump up into sixth place, which is a place in Europe this coming season, which is nice. You could find yourself in the Conference League. Sure. Well, I guess sixth place would find yourself in the Europa League, but still. They have a chance to get into a spot in Europe. This is big. For Spurs, They're even on points with Aston Villa, which we'll talk about Aston Villa because they got a big matchup against Arsenal. But Tottenham, even on points in 4th place, this is the difference between a Champions League spot and Europa League, which they're rather used to. So, look, this is a big week for Tottenham. If you get points here and Aston Villa falls to Arsenal, which is probably likely, but we'll talk about, you got a chance to start running away with it for that last spot. Kind of create some division between them and Villa for 4th and 5th. If you lose here and Aston Villa happens to get some points, you might have screwed yourself because this is a great opportunity. Newcastle, yes, they're kind of trending up. Still not great because, oh yeah, another injury. Livramento. He's out now. Till May. Yes. Love this team, man. Love them. I love these guys. Love this team. Love all the players. Miguel Almiron's out as well. That's great.
And Ollie's had a good season in it.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. I'm sure him and fucking Ipe Mizuhara are having a ball. Yeah, look, we're getting just shit on by injuries. And I hate to complain about this because, you know, I'm complaining to a Chelsea fan who's dealt with this for the last 2 years. But look, look, Newcastle can still win games. Anthony Gordon is all that matters in this lineup. I'm going to be honest. If Anthony Gordon's in the lineup, we can score a goal.
Yeah.
And same goes for Alexander Isak. He's been very good recently. So I don't hate where we're at right now. I'd like to win the games we need to win because a 1-1 draw versus Everton is not good. Like we beat West Ham, which is awesome, and that win in comeback fashion was awesome. But like you give up the late pen against Everton, they tie. It's brutal. You get the win over Fulham, which is once again fantastic. But like, yes, those are like middle of the table teams. I'd like us to dominate these bottom of the table teams and just get some points, and we're not. So in a big one against Tottenham, I'd love to at least see us put up a fight.
Yeah, and I'm sure they will. But it'll be tough. Tottenham are, maybe you could say they're kind of finding their stride. They haven't lost in 3 games. And their third game, their 4th game that they lost was a 3-0 to Fulham.
Yeah.
We're looking at a 2-1 against Luton, 1-1 to West Ham, and then a 3-1 to Forest. So Tottenham hasn't played anybody in a while. And I think Newcastle will kind of be awkwardly like, it's weird to say, but Newcastle's kind of a chance. Like this is a kind of prove yourself game, I feel like, for Tottenham and Newcastle. But there's nobody better than bottling a good situation or a make or break situation than Tottenham.
That is true.
And I think with what we've seen from Newcastle this season, Newcastle is decent at taking advantage of mistakes of teams, that they're making.
Yeah.
And I feel like Tottenham could make a lot of those. So I'm kind of leaning more towards Newcastle.
I would love to lean towards Newcastle. That sounds like a fantastic idea. Don't know if I could fully commit to that, but you know what? For the sake of my being, I'm going to take Newcastle to win. And I'm going to take them 2-1.
I'm going to go 1-0 Newcastle.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know if we can totally hold off Tottenham from scoring, considering, no Lascelles, no Botman, no Livramento. Matt Target's hurt. No Kieran Trippier. But we got Fabian Schär. He can score a goal every now and then. It's pretty cool. Or he'll just get it disallowed, like the one against Fulham. Nonetheless, let's go to the next match. Arsenal versus Villa. A big one. One that genuinely matters for the standings. And, yeah, look, Arsenal's really the only team at the top getting tested this week. So they have to win this game. Right now, they sit in first on goal differential, tied on points of Liverpool, just a point ahead of Man City. But Liverpool's playing Crystal Palace, and Man City's playing Luton Town. Arsenal has to win. They're coming off of a midweek draw against Bayern that we'll definitely be talking about later because there was some controversy. But they need to win this match against Villa. As much as Villa needs to win this match against Tottenham as well.
I can't wait till we get to that controversy, by the way. But
Yeah.
anyway,
It's an interesting situation.
Arsenal, they're coming off of a super tough game, and they're going to face a super tough opponent domestically. This is why the good teams get to play in the Champions League, is because they're faced with situations like this. Aston Villa absolutely needs to take advantage of that.
Agreed. Yeah.
I mean, what I don't really know. This is someone who's played soccer their whole life. I don't really know what you could do tactically to play on another team's fitness, specifically their fitness. That's what Newcastle needs to do. Play them physically. Play them super
Newcastle?
hard.
You talking about Villa?
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's what Villa needs to do. My bad. Thanks for checking me there. That's what Villa needs to do. Play them physically. Get them to make subs early.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not saying hurt people, but make your presence known against this team. Play them hard. Can Villa do that though? I'm not really too sure, because Arsenal they're just proving it. Every single game they play in, they're just proving it. And
they're very healthy right now.
Very healthy right now. And you could look at their Champions League game and say, oh, Bayern's been kind of shaky this year. They should have gotten the win. It's still Bayern Munich, and it's still that squad.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's still 2024 Arsenal that haven't really, gotten to that elite level of a club yet. I think they're on the cusp of it right now. Villa just needs to take advantage of that going into this game.
I think the problem for Villa taking advantage of that is that you've got no Douglas Luiz, still no Matty Cash, no Jacob Ramsey, no Buendia, no Kamara. He's out now. That's what kills them. A lot of the strength in defense, and mainly defensive midfielders that they're missing right now kills them for Arsenal, because honestly, yes, of course, it's a big deal if you're going to try and beat Arsenal to somehow beat their insanely good center backs. But the battle is won with Arsenal in the midfield. If you can defend Odegaard well, and if you can get past Declan Rice, you at least give yourself a chance.
Yeah.
And I just think Aston Villa is not in a great spot in the midfield right now to be doing that.
I don't think they are. I like the partnership, and this is what they ran last week against Lille in their Europa League game. Ollie Watkins with John McGinn behind him as a cam, I feel like works perfectly. But to your point, can Yuri Tielemans and Douglas Luiz, those two holding midfielders, are they going to be able to do anything?
Yeah, and you don't have
Rice?
Douglas Luiz this week, which sucks.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so they're going to have a tough time there, but it's all going to be down to how effective Ollie Watkins and John McGinn are going to be against that, kind of trio of Declan, and then the two center backs there that Arsenal have, Gabriel, and then the other one is slipping my mind.
Sorry, Saliba?
Saliba, thank you.
Yeah.
That's going to be a super tough matchup, but I think they can do it. Ollie Watkins is scoring like no one's business this season.
Yeah, and I think between McGinn and Watkins, but also Diaby, a guy that came off the bench in the match against Lille, but is typically in their starting lineup when it comes to Premier League matches. I think he's going to be a big factor in this. Pacey, just really good player. He started off the season great, got a little banged up. Now he's kind of slowed down, but he still clearly can play well. I think he's going to be a big deciding factor for this team. But yeah, Ollie Watkins has scored 18 goals this season and has 10 assists. He is absolutely killing it. And look, when you look at the stats, these teams match up well. Arsenal, first in goals scored per match. Villa, fourth in goals scored per match. Both of them averaging over 2 goals a game. Arsenal, one of the best teams away from home this season. They've kept the most clean sheets this season. Whereas Villa, they're one of the best at just putting up shots. And Moussa Diaby as well, a fantastic chance creator. He's created the most big chances for this team. So I think for Villa, it's going to be about, like we said, playing well in the midfield and creating chances against this extremely good defense. For Arsenal, keep playing your game. Keep playing physical. Keep allowing your front three to dominate teams. Bukayo Saka has been amazing. Martinelli can create so many chances with his feet. The midfield is great. Odegaard continues to be great. Keep letting them do that. Keep feeding it to them. Use this defense and play off of it well like you have all season, and you're going to have no problem getting past this Villa team.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I think there's a lot of pressure on Arsenal, not only UCL. Just like you brought it up in the table, is just in general. Liverpool has an easy matchup. Man City has an easy matchup. Arsenal doesn't, and they're coming off of a tough game against Bayern. I'm actually going to go with a 1-1 draw here.
I believe in Arsenal's defense enough to say that they're going to go 2-1.
Okay.
I think that's the big thing. It's not like Aston Villa can't score. It's just I think Arsenal's defense is just on such a different level right now. It's going to be hard.
I mean, it's been ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. So our last matchup we'll talk about here is Chelsea-Everton. I just wanted a chance to talk about these teams because Everton fighting for their life. If if miraculously Luton Town gets a win and Everton doesn't, or if Everton loses, Luton will jump them. And if Nottingham Forest it wins, same thing. Everton finds themselves in 16th place, only 2 points clear of the relegation zone. They got to figure something out. Chelsea, on the other hand, with 44 points, finds themselves, a Bournemouth win away from 12th place and a win away from being tied on points with Newcastle, possibly.
Yeah. Chelsea, I wish I could say that it looks like we're finding our stride, but the 4-3 against Manchester United was one of the most ridiculous games I've ever watched. And if you haven't seen the highlights to that game, Grayson, please go watch
I have.
Ridiculous. But then this is the thing with Chelsea, though. That game was a midweek game. Then we have Sheffield United on the weekend. Oh, yay, easy game. We just got done playing United. We're going to draw 2-2 with them. I don't get it. I don't understand. And then on top of that, a lot of the players that played well against United didn't really have that great of a game against Sheffield United, like Cole Palmer. And it's just, it's brutal. I know I've said it on this podcast before, but I just don't know how to talk about Chelsea anymore. Yeah. I know what I want, but I have to wait for a transfer window to make that happen. This is easily the worst Chelsea team I've seen in all my time of being a Chelsea fan. And it's all because of number 15, that fuck. Nicholas Jackson at striker, bro. I loathe him, bro. I can't stand this guy. Even it's Nicholas Jackson he's buns. He's so buns.
Yeah, I agree. I gave him the benefit of the doubt for most of the season. It's gotten to the point where it's like you can't really redeem yourself now. No. He's in too deep. It doesn't help that the supporting cast hasn't been great. This whole team hasn't been good at the same time. Even when Nicholas Jackson goes on these streaks of like a couple of games with a goal, nobody else can do anything. Nobody in the midfield plays well, or the defense sucks, or the keeper just can't play well that day. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Who is playing good? The only guy that's been good all season is Cole Palmer.
Yeah.
And it takes other players on this team for his impact to really even be seen, because he is such a great passer.
Exactly. And just looking at these subs, like Alfie Gilchrist, a youth player who I think he's shown some bright spots in the Carabao Cup. Raheem Sterling is on the bench now. Gallagher started at wing against Sheffield United. What are we doing? Who is our starting 11?
You don't have one.
We don't have one. And this inconsistency is what's hurting us. Thiago Silva's in and out of the lineup at this point.
Yeah.
Mark Cucurella is at left back. Axel Disasi is right back. When is Axel Disasi can't play right back? He's way too huge.
Yeah. But the problem is Malo Gusto's banged up, Reece James banged up, Ben Chilwell's banged up. You don't have anybody to put out there.
No, we don't have anybody. You're exactly right. And then, to go through our subs some more. Who is Cesar Cassidy? Who is Teddy Sharman Lowe? Who is David Washington?
It's the kind of guys that you have to fill. Okay, David Washington's a guy that you guys signed in the summer. Whatever.
Okay, thanks for letting me know.
But it's just that's the product of all the guys that should be filling your bench and should be in the starting lineup are all hurt. Fofana, still hurt. Lavia, out for the season. Robert Sanchez, kind of banged up going into this one. Reece James, out. Malo Gusto, out for now. He might be back. Levi Colwill, still a few days out from returning. Uga Chukwu, still a few days out from returning. And Cuckoo, right back to the injuries. And Ben Chilwell is out. You don't have anybody to fill the bench right now.
It's horrible. Our starting goalkeeper was Real Salt Lake's goalkeeper last season.
Yeah.
We are Chelsea. This is Chelsea.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, I'm all here for the rebuild. Honestly, in a weird psychotic way, it's weeding out the real fans from the fake fans, and it's weeding out the real players from the bad players or the fake players, I guess. And it's kind of fun to have to grind, but I hate that it's not consistent, and I don't feel like there is a future, although we have so many players with potential on this team.
Agreed.
Anyway, going back to Everton, we're probably going to fucking 2-2 draw. I mean, I don't know.
Look,
I have no idea.
I got to say, Everton's bad as well. They're in bad form right now. Yes, their last 2 games, they've gotten a win over Burnley and a draw with Newcastle. Go figure. But before that, they lost 3 straight, including losses to West Ham and Bournemouth. Manchester United, a little more expected, but Bournemouth, come on. So, in that case, which I will say this, Everton, very bad about where they're fouling people and how much they're fouling people. And Chelsea have been awarded the most penalties this season. And Cole Palmer keeps putting them away.
Thank God.
Problem for Chelsea, haven't kept a clean sheet in 13 matches. Problem for Everton, they haven't won an away game in their last 9. So, look, Everton can't score. Chelsea can, but they give up so many goals. I'm going to go Chelsea 1-0.
I'm going to go Chelsea 2-1. But
Okay.
I think it'll be a 1-1 draw.
All right.
Or like a 2-2 draw.
Fair enough. Well, let's see what else we've got this weekend. So on Saturday, Newcastle Spurs starts it off 7:30 in the morning. Dude, fuck that. I guess it's kind of nice I can watch that before I go to work, but whatever. Brentford, Sheffield United, gross. Burnley, Brighton, Man City, Luton, Nottingham Forest, Wolves, Bournemouth versus Man United, and then you get into Sunday, you've got Liverpool, Crystal Palace, West Ham, Fulham, Arsenal, Aston Villa, and then Monday, Chelsea and Everton standalone. At 3 o'clock. And then we get into the next weekend after that.
Oh, yeah. Coming down to
it. Let's talk about the absurd week that we had here in the Champions League. It was genuinely crazy. Outcomes that I never expected. Outcomes that I thought I anticipated and was entirely wrong about. So, the Champions League, it starts with probably the craziest one of the week. Real Madrid 3, Man City 3. In Madrid. Holy shit, what a game.
Yeah. Really, I couldn't tell who the better team was.
No.
The entire time I was watching it.
No, and yes, Ruben Diaz, an own goal in the 12th minute. Pretty brutal.
Yeah.
But
brutal.
Bernardo Silva's goal in the 2nd minute was great. Phil Foden continues to just only score the most beautiful goals he can. Josko Vardiol with a fantastic goal. Fede Valverde with a great volley. Rodrigo with a great goal. This whole game was awesome. Wire to wire, it was awesome. Vinny didn't score, but he assisted 2 goals. It's crazy. And what the fuck is this formation? And they're still doing great for Real Madrid. What in the hell were they thinking with this formation?
I don't know. I've never known Tchouaméni to be a center back, and I've never known Vinicius Jr. to be a striker.
That's why I think this is a little bit off from how they actually played. I didn't get to watch too much of this game, and by the time I was, a couple of subs had been made, so it was a bit different tactically. But I would assume that they're running this more where Tchouaméni plays up the field, and they more play a 3 at the back where Valverde kind of almost more plays a fullback position. at least in a defensive setup, or Chouameni and Valverde almost switch between fullback and center defensive mid. I would just assume that's how it went, and then Vinny plays almost more central, is like the striker, and Rodrigo plays up the field. I'm not sure because I didn't get to see it. That's just how I would interpret this lineup playing, at least tactically, based on the formation. But, there's no telling because Carlo Ancelotti is an actual genius.
Yeah, definitely.
So is Pep Guardiola because they just throw out whatever formation they want, and it works. You just put John Stones at center defensive mid, and it works. You just you put guys wherever you want, and they score goals, they assist goals, they do whatever it takes, except Erling Haaland, not doing really anything in this match.
You can play Oscar Bob, and he'll play well.
Yeah, he'll score a game winner against Newcastle. They only made one sub as well, which is crazy, and it was in the 87th minute. So obviously they liked how they were playing.
Yeah, and they also have Luton Town, so might as well go ahead and squeeze all you can out of your starters. But yeah, going back to it, like I said, they both of these teams were just incredibly entertaining to watch. And it was exactly what I wanted it to be. Of course, end goal for me is Manchester City crashing out, but I also like to watch just good soccer. And that's exactly what this first leg was.
Yeah, and like for Manchester City to not have Kevin De Bruyne in this lineup, not have Ederson in this lineup, among others, Doku not playing, Kyle Walker's hurt, Nathan Ake's hurt. To watch this lineup be this successful offensively was rather surprising, which I think is a good sign because you come back to Manchester in 2 weeks and you're really going to want to win that game.
Back at the empty hat for the second leg.
Nice.
But
sure, it won't be empty for a Champions League quarterfinal match against Real Madrid. There'll be enough Real Madrid meat riders from England there.
Exactly.
They'll take up some seats.
Yeah, but overall, what a game.
Yeah.
What a game.
A fantastic game. Our next one is the controversial one. Bayern Munich 2, Arsenal 2. Sorry, this one was in Arsenal. I said it backwards, but should we just talk about it first and then talk about the rest of the game?
If you think that should have been a penalty, you don't like soccer.
Facts. That's what I think. If you are mad about that, you're just doing it because you hate Arsenal.
Exactly.
That's it. It's a dumb thing. It's as if that's like saying it should be a fucking handball if you went to go do the throw-in and then you just tossed it to your teammate to do the throw-in.
Yeah.
That's essentially what happened.
Yeah. Who was the player that got fouled by Neuer? Because we're talking about the penalty, right?
Oh, no.
No call?
Yeah, no. I'm talking about the penalty no call where Raya just passes it to Gabriel and he just picks the ball up.
What?
You didn't see that?
No,
Okay, so we're talking about totally different things.
I thought Neuer completely rocked somebody in the box at the end of the game.
That also did happen.
I was saying that shouldn't have been a penalty, and
Agreed.
It wasn't a penalty.
Agreed.
Okay.
I think so David Raya is literally like walking up to the line, but doesn't put the ball on the line, and Gabriel's walking back, and Raya kicks it to him. Clearly, Gabriel didn't realize that he put it in play, and just picks it up and puts it back on the line.
Oh yeah, that shouldn't be a penalty either.
Yeah, like the ref literally told, I guess, either Tuchel or one of the players for Bayern, like there was just a childish mistake. Which I guess you could call it that, but I think it's just more like he wasn't totally paying attention and it was like an unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah, and then I wanted to talk about the penalty no call that a lot of people were freaking out about. I think it was Saka that dribbled straight into Neuer, but Saka kind of made like he's coming right at Neuer, and then he kicks the ball over to his left, but he kept running straight.
Oh.
He just ran straight into Neuer, and everybody was freaking out that it should have been a penalty. It should have been a penalty, but Saka made no effort to follow the direction of the ball.
Yeah.
That he was like dribbling. It looked completely deliberate on Saka's part to just run into nowhere.
Agreed.
And try to get the call. And the ref didn't call it, which is a perfect no call there. And a hard call to make at that.
Yeah. Yeah, especially, nearing the end of the game. Very tough.
Yeah.
But look, I think with both of these teams, it's hard to say that they both played well. Because they kind of didn't.
It was a dogfight.
Yeah. First of all, do we have to say this every week? Kai Havertz isn't a striker?
Yeah.
I'm going on a whole year of saying this, but
I love saying it, actually.
That's fair. But, he's not a striker. And just throughout this, look, just start Trossard. He's scoring goals. Start him at striker. Or start Gabriel Jesus at striker because he also assisted a goal in this game. Just do it. I don't understand why they won't just put these guys in the starting lineup. Kai Havertz does nothing for you anywhere on the field, let alone at striker.
Thank you.
It's crazy.
I don't have anything to add. I just want to echo what you said.
Thank you. And for Bayern, figure the fuck out what you're doing on the defense. I don't know what the deal is. Their defense sucks. Despite the fact that they have 3 world-class defenders and Eric Dyer.
Yeah. Yep.
I just don't get it. I really don't.
I don't either. But, another good game, nonetheless, a 2-2.
Yeah.
Like you said, it wasn't necessarily like both teams played well, but it was definitely a dogfight between these two, and it was another game that I enjoyed watching.
Definitely. All right, well, let's move on to the next one. Great matchup. PSG 2, Barcelona 3. How about Barcelona going to the Parc des Princes and getting the win? And from some unlikely goal scorers, nonetheless. Rafinha with a brace. Brings this game level in the 62nd minute, and then a goal for Christensen off the bench, out of the defense.
His first touch of the game.
Yeah. Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Rafinha, I just don't understand. I thought that guy was invisible, to be honest with you. But
Dude,
he definitely was visible this game.
Yeah. Super surprised by this result, honestly.
And I know a lot of people are talking about how Kubarsi played against Mbappe. People were saying that I didn't watch the game. People were saying that Pau Kubarsi had Mbappe in his pocket the entire game.
He was killer. And at 17 years old, to be locking down an attack of Marco Asensio and Kylian Mbappe, which, look, Ousmane Dembele did his thing, but really stopping Asensio and Mbappe coming at you is amazing. Despite the fact that he had a 6.2 rating and Araujo didn't do all that well either, Kubarsi played fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is, one of the biggest stages you can do it on. Kind of surprised by some of the guys that sat in this game and came on later. Like, to see Pedri not start in a game like this is kind of crazy. You're away from home. It's a big one for the Champions League. It's kind of a must-win, which they did still go out and win, but to see Sergio Roberto start over Pedri in the midfield is surprising.
Yeah, and on the PSG side, I thought Barcola could have started. He actually got subbed in the 46th minute. I don't know why he wasn't starting.
Yeah, and they subbed him in kind of as a false 9 for Asensio.
Yeah.
Which I'm not a huge fan of, but, it's all right. And I Gonzalo Ramos coming into this game in the 85th minute is surprising, to say the least.
What's crazy is PSG completely failed with Kolo Muani and Gonzalo Ramos so bad that they started Marco Asensio at their false 9 over both of those players.
Yeah, I believe those two players being signed is about somewhere near like 180 million euro mistake. Honestly.
Yeah.
Because they've been bad.
Last season, they were both so deadly, though.
Yeah.
One of them literally replaced Cristiano Ronaldo in the World Cup.
Yeah. And the other was
Crazy.
one of the best players in the Bundesliga last year.
Yeah. Now
and a
both,
key part of the France team in the World Cup.
Yeah, definitely. And now they can't get in the lineup of PSG
Yeah.
against Barcelona.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. But Marco Asensio's bum ass does.
Yeah. I know.
Not much else to
Absolutely
talk about that
crazy.
game. Just a fantastic result for Barcelona. Very surprised.
Yeah. Good to go into Paris and have a result like this, because it's going to be a lot harder for Paris Saint-Germain to come back against Barcelona in the Camp Nou.
Yeah, for sure. Our last matchup, Atletico Madrid 2, Borussia Dortmund 1. Madrid actually played a full 90 minutes of fantastic soccer in this match, which I haven't been able to say a lot in the Champions League for them. But DePaul scoring in the 4th, Lino scores in the 32nd, and then you just kind of coast it from there. You park the bus like they do. Yes, you give up the goal to Haller in the 81st, but still, applying pressure for the whole first half and just gassing this Borussia Dortmund team that forced them to make so many subs. You make the sub after the half where they bring in Brandt at cam. They don't have Marco Reus in until the 84th minute, which was probably helpful for Madrid, but they sub out their striker in the 60th. They sub out Adeyemi in the 73rd. To make them make 3 subs by the 73rd minute is a testament to just Atletico Madrid wearing them out on the attacking side of the ball.
Oh, for sure. And I think this Diego Simeone lineup is really underrated.
Yes.
It's, Axel Witsel, Jose Maria Jimenez, and Cesar Azpilicueta are your back 3. And then your 3 center mids are Marcus Llorente, Koke, and DePaul. With those 6 players alone, with Diego Simeone's park the bus tactic, it must be brutal for anybody to play against. And Jan Oblak's in goal.
Yeah, well, and also,
how do you score?
Their right mid and left mid are just both bona fide left back, right backs.
Yeah.
So, they did this so well, and I love this tactic. It's very, very reminiscent of kind of how Pep Guardiola sets up his lineup. Very reminiscent of how Inter Milan has been setting up their lineups, where you have 2 very good wing backs that can attack, they can stay back. You've got some great center backs. You throw in, kind of taking from Pep Guardiola, throw in a defensive mid in the back line, just for the fuck of it. And
yeah,
Molina is naturally going to play a little further back. Llorente is going to naturally kind of fade out into that right mid spot anyways. It just works super well the way they've drawn this up. It kind of allows Alvaro Morata to slide into the center when Llorente goes out wide. It allows Griezmann to play left or central if he wants, and DePaul and Koke can stay central and just do their thing passing the ball.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. And I think I want to go ahead and make this take as well. Out of all the teams that we just talked about for the Champions League, I like the way that Atletico Madrid lined up better than any other team that we talked about.
100%. Couldn't agree more. And for Dortmund, I don't think they have the strength in this lineup to just beat any of these teams in the field right now at this stage, let alone Atletico Madrid, whose defensive prowess is huge.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, well, I'm not looking to preview in particular because we'll be doing that next week. Unless I've got the schedule wrong. There's no telling, man. No, the matches are next week. So, yeah, I guess we're previewing these games. Let's just go through them real quick. I don't want to harp on these too long. Okay, first of all, odd. I know I'm already going off on a tangent, but odd to me that Barcelona, PSG, Dortmund, Atletico Madrid were played on Wednesday this past week, and they're played on Tuesday this coming week.
I didn't. Huh. They're giving them less time?
Yeah, they get less time, and the other 2 matchups get an extra day. Just weird.
Yeah,
I don't know why you needed to do that.
Same day.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Whatever. But yeah, Barcelona, PSG at Camp Nou. What are we thinking? Can Barcelona hold on 3-2 on aggregate?
I think they can, but I don't think it's out of the realm for PSG to come back and end up beating them on aggregate. I really don't. This PSG team is nice. Are we going to score prediction or just who I think is going to go through?
Yeah, we'll just say who's going to go through.
Oh man, I'm going to go Barcelona, but I think PSG still has they have more than a foot in the door.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Dortmund, Atletico Madrid. I think that one's clear for Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, me too, for sure.
Bayern and Arsenal. What are we thinking? It's 2-2 going to Bayern Munich.
Both teams played bad in the first leg, but I think Arsenal just has a lot more positives to talk about.
Especially if they can come off of a win this weekend. A win over Aston Villa this weekend, it will be huge momentum-wise going into that midweek match against Bayern.
Yeah, I think probably Arsenal's got it.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Arsenal as well. And then Man City, Real Madrid, bringing it to Manchester. I'm gonna go Real Madrid. I think so.
Me too.
I just think that Man City guys have been in and out of the lineup all year, but the fact that Erling Haaland just isn't scoring that many goals is alarming for them. Because you can't rely on Phil Foden every week and Bernardo Silva to score. You just can't.
Exactly. And going back to it, I love Tchouaméni. I think he is one of the coolest midfielders in the world right now. He should not be at center back. If you want to beat Manchester City and stop them from scoring 3 goals on you, just play Nacho.
Yeah.
It's so simple. Nacho and Rudiger are such an underrated pairing. And I think Tchouaméni is a super sub because he's going to come on with the fitness of, all the gods and just be running around while everybody's kind of jogging. So I like Tchouaméni as a sub for leg 2.
All right. Well, that's it. The Champions League. We'll have the semifinal matchups by the next episode, which is awesome. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But for now, let's round out this episode with some questions.
Uh-oh.
We're going to start with one that was verbally submitted to me before we recorded by my father, who asked me who's going to win the Masters. I got a couple of different guys that I'm looking at. A friend of mine who lives in a legal gambling state asked me if I liked anybody because he wanted to put some money on them. So I gave him a couple of tips. So I like Will Zalatoris. He definitely has a great chance. He started off hot. Not as great at the moment, but love Willie. He's a great pick always, honestly. Look, he doesn't win a lot, but he plays well. He's always going to be near the top. So if he's not going to win, he's going to be a top 10 finish, I think. Obviously, Bryson's off to a hot start, but I hate Bryson DeChambeau. He's not going to win this tournament. Obviously, you'd love to see Koepka win his first one. He's playing great golf. Just not a great start on day one for Brooks Koepka, so I just don't love his chances. If you're gambling, toss a couple dollars on Tiger Woods. Why not? I know, day one's already underway. You could probably still get a bet in, but before this started, he was plus 17,500. Put a couple dollars on him.
Yeah.
You might as well. He's playing okay. I will say he's playing okay. I think if you're looking for value, and if you're looking for a guy who I just really like, I've talked about him just about every time I preview a tournament on this podcast, Max Homa is going to win a major. And he's going to do it soon, and he might do it this weekend. He's off to a great start. He's through 11 right now, 4 under. Looking at a hot round at the moment. Max Homa is playing fantastic golf. He's going to continue to play fantastic golf because that's just what he does. I just think we've come accustomed to him playing bad in majors, and I think he's finally turning it around. So if I've got 3 guys I think could win, I didn't even mention one of them that I'm about to say, but I'm going Cam Smith, who didn't have a great day to start, but I like him. So Cam Smith, Will Zalatoris, and Max Homa are kind of the 3 guys I'm eyeing to win it. Obviously, Scotty Scheffler is just he's probably going to win. It's just not fun to answer Scotty Scheffler because he is the best golfer in the world right now. But let's get to a topic that Luke will have even a shred of input into. And it's about the Braves. So this one, a user submitted question from Big Hoss 70923.
Holy shit, we got a big one here.
Yeah, like I said. So it's titled "Concern for Braves." Taking on where the Braves are headed, with the loss to Strider in the rotation, do they have good enough arms in the minors to make up for the loss of such a solid arm? Do they need to ride it out and make the best of it until we can get to the trade talks and try and bring on another big arm to push it for the playoffs? I think that's the play. Bring up some of the young guys. Obviously, today, Winans, not going to work. Just keep trialing guys in Strider's position. Because luckily, Max Fried will get it back in control. Yes, 2 bad starts to start the season. Whatever. We'll see what he does in this next game against the Marlins. But love what I'm seeing from Sale. Love what I'm seeing from Reynaldo Lopez. I watched him pitch in person on Tuesday. Reynaldo Lopez looks fantastic. So I love what I'm seeing from those 2 guys. Morton, got to figure some things out, but I don't hate how he's playing. Max Fried's got to turn it around, and we're just going to wait around for Strider, I think. Maybe we could go out. If Strider, if he can't come back, yeah, we'll pick somebody up at the deadline. I know what AA is about. He loves it. So I think for now, you bring up, you just keep trialing these young guys. Hopefully, in my mind, it's AJ Smith-Shawver that gets the spot, but whoever it is that shows some fire coming up should just take the spot at 5 and bump everybody up. To continue reading what he has, my take is that, my take on this is Braves will be fine as deep as winning the division. My concern comes in the postseason. I don't know if they'll be okay not having Strider's arm come playoff time. I see a lot of speculation around Bauer, but truthfully, I don't know if he's any better than what the Braves have in the minors. That's facts. That's so facts. That's so facts.
It's not facts.
That is so facts because Bauer is such a dickhead. Nobody wants to play with Trevor Bauer. The culture of the Atlanta Braves and the team that they've created would be tainted by Trevor Bauer on this team. I'm not saying he can't make it in the MLB. I'm not saying he shouldn't be on a team. I'm saying he shouldn't be on the Braves because he doesn't fit.
Oh, man.
Because he is an asshole.
The Trevor Bauer talks have been dividing the Braves fans a little bit because there's a lot of people that think one way, there's a lot of people that think another way. Trevor Bauer has won a Cy Young.
Sure has. In a 2020 season, yeah.
He's throwing harder in his career than he ever has right now.
Yeah. No, I am aware that he's playing great baseball, but I can't forfeit the morale of a team to get him on the team.
And I definitely respect that, but this guy, hopefully, I don't know that Bauer is any better than what we have in the minors when you truly break it down. I completely disagree with that.
I think where I can agree with it, because talent-wise, no. Nobody in the minor leagues right now is a better pitcher than Trevor Bauer. There's probably some guys in the minor leagues that are more valuable to have on our team when it comes to the actual team aspect of the sport than having Trevor Bauer. Because why would I want to benefit my team once every 5 days and hurt the rest of the 4? That's the problem I see right now with Trevor Bauer. Yes, he's a great pitcher that'll pitch every 5 days, whatever. The other 4 days, I don't want all of my players pissed off because he's a dickhead. That's my problem. So he can go play wherever the fuck he wants, but everybody knows that he's a locker room issue more than anything. Yeah, it's a PR problem that you bring on because of all the shit and all the reporters that are after his head. But the true reality of it is that nobody has ever been like, he is just the best teammate. He's a great guy to be in the clubhouse with. Nobody has once said that about him. Guys that everybody in the league respects don't like him. That's the problem with Trevor Bauer.
I don't know. I like him.
Fair enough. Nobody in the league respects you.
I don't know anybody in the league.
Pussy.
But did you say Wilsey?
No, I said pussy.
Do you know people in the league, Grayson?
I know of them. I've got connections to connections. I'm 1 degree away from people in the league.
1 degree.
Yeah, 1 degree of separation. There's one person separating me from a couple of MLB players.
I don't know. Maybe the Braves isn't his fit. But
that's what I think. I think there's teams he could fit on because they're not morale driven. But I think when you look at this Braves lineup, yes, of course, it's littered with talent, but the constant continued success, a lot of it is based on the morale and just the culture of this team.
I don't want to hear any complaining about the fifth pitcher when Bauer's, waiting to be signed for league minimum.
I don't care.
That's fine, but a lot of Braves fans do.
All right, well, I don't want to hear any complaining about you then until the Yankees sign him.
I wish the Yankees would.
Because
I think Trevor Bauer hates the Yankees.
Well, no, he's just never going to play with Garrett Cole.
Yeah, they hate each other.
Yeah, once again, respected guy in the league doesn't like Trevor Bauer. What a surprise. All right, yeah. So, yeah, what's he said? Braves have enough young arms who have seen the big leagues to carry them through, needing arms to relieve the rotation. Makes sense. And get through a series. Not enough young arms that you can say comfortably, that we'd be okay in a playoff game. I agree with that. I think so. Yeah, losing Strider absolutely fucking sucks for this team. So I agree with a lot of stuff he had to say. All right, let's get into Nathan's questions. First one, interesting. What's your favorite DJ Khaled quote?
Not a quote, but the favorite moment is when he played Bob Marley's guitar and just absolutely shit on it. Basically. Marley family gave him a guitar and he just like...
Yeah, I didn't expect him to know how to play the guitar, so...
I wouldn't either.
I guess that makes sense. If we're going for a quote, I think "Bring Out the Whole Ocean" is a fantastic quote. Don't really know what it means, but the ocean is giant. So
yeah.
if you're bringing it all, that's a lot of fucking water or whatever fills the ocean in this hypothetical.
That is true.
Great. This next question is crazy. Is CTESPN a serious network at this point? Fuck no, okay? Never gonna admit to that one. But it's entertaining as fuck. I'll give them that. And they're very good at just predicting guys going somewhere and things happening.
Yeah, with a name like CTESPN, it's never going to be a serious network.
Yeah, of course. And your banner on Twitter is Antonio Brown hugging Giselle. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Dude, they literally will tweet anything. Breaking news 26 minutes ago. A name no one is talking about that is being thrown around for Kentucky is Kelvin Sampson. I would give his son an opportunity to take over at Houston. What? I don't know, man. They just break news. But it's not news. They're just trying to predict shit, and they're wrong about a lot of it. Yeah. Breaking news. Kentucky wants their next head coach to be Brad Stevens. He is the fucking GM of the Celtics. Yeah. Why would he go head coach Kentucky? Whatever. No, they're not a serious network. What's your favorite song lyric of all time?
Do you have one on the noggin?
I'm trying to think, because I feel like if we're talking favorite song lyrics in particular, it's typically a funny one.
Mine is not a funny one.
Okay, then you go ahead, because I'm trying to think of one.
So, Weston Road Flows on the album Views by Drake. Obviously, Drake being a Toronto rapper, he's very good at sports references, especially all throughout this album. There's a lot of sports references. And my favorite one is... I really do this. Been flowing stupid since Vince Carter was on some through the legs, arm in the hoop shit. That will forever be my favorite bar in a rap song.
Yeah. If we're going sports lyrics, gotta give a shout out to Jid, because R.I.P. I miss all my dogs like Mike Vick is fantastic.
Yeah.
He's also, I can't remember the exact lyric, but he has referenced Xavier McKinney, which is a ridiculous person. And this was after his rookie year. He was out here referencing Xavier McKinney, which is crazy. I'm trying to think of more. It's tough. I'm trying to think. Because, it's weird to have a favorite lyric. You can have a favorite song, and you can like what they say in the song, but it's hard to have a lyric. It's not themed, I guess, or funny.
I just thought of one. In All Falls Down, college dropout Kanye West. He says, fucking, oh my god, couldn't afford a car, so she named her, daughter
named her
Alexis.
daughter Alexis. Yeah.
That's
It's
great.
fantastic.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's obviously funny ones that are great, but yeah, I can't really think of anything else. All right. If the MLB was going to host an opening day game in another country again, which country do you think it would be the coolest and which would be the funniest? The funniest could be an interesting conversation, but we'll start with the coolest. I'm going either Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic.
Is the coolest?
Yeah.
I would say like Tokyo Dome in Japan.
I'm not watching baseball at 3 a.m. that actually matters. That's the problem.
It'd be the coolest.
I don't know if that's the coolest. I think the crowds in the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico are fucking awesome.
I'll extend that to Mexico too. They're pretty crazy as well.
Yeah, I think to me it makes the most sense from the standpoint of me wanting to watch the game. I would like to watch the games that are actually at a reasonable time.
Yeah.
Funniest
though?
I'm not going to go with that one.
What were you about to say?
I had two things in my head, and they're both active war zones.
What, you want to put it like in Gaza?
Yeah.
Is that exactly what you were thinking?
That is that one, and then or Ukraine.
Jesus Christ!
That was just it's funny. It's a funny idea to just be like, you know what? We're the MLB. We make great decisions every time about everything. How about we put a baseball game in a war zone? Okay, let's think of ones that are just funny place. The Sentinel Islands would be a funny place to play a baseball game.
Yeah. What about like the Caribbean? Kind of funny. Like Haiti.
Yeah.
Or Jamaica.
Oh, how about this? They do it like what college basketball does on Pearl Harbor, and they play it on
yeah.
What are those called?
A ship.
Yeah.
Battleship.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be awesome. An aircraft carrier is the word I was looking for.
Why don't you couldn't? I don't think you could have a baseball diamond on an aircraft carrier. But what about a home run derby?
You could definitely do. Yeah, I've seen the beach home run derbies are a popular off-season activity.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, it happens every now and then. Typically down in like Dominican Republic, they'll have just like a home run derby on a beach.
That's cool.
Where they just hit balls into the ocean.
Oh,
yeah, I think that would be the funniest. Put it on an aircraft carrier. Just build like a field, a turf field you could do on an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. But also ridiculous.
Yeah.
Who's the worst top player your team would draft this year?
Worst top player?
Yeah, so I guess it's like, I'm trying to think how to interpret this. So like it's a top player, but it's the worst option, I guess, for your team to draft this year.
Kind of how I'm reading.
Or is it like their first pick? Who is the worst player they could take with their first pick that I guess makes sense to still be taken in the first round? Is how I'll interpret that as well.
I would go, you know what? For the Steelers, I would go Bo Nix. I think it is not a 0% chance they take a quarterback.
Really?
Think it'll happen?
In the first round?
Yeah, or any of the quarterbacks for that matter.
Yeah.
Michael Penix, Bo Nix, any of those guys.
Okay. Maybe. I think it'd be weird for the Steelers to take a quarterback with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields.
Who's the worst top player your team could take?
Any skill position player. We don't need another. Okay, we kind of need another wide receiver. We don't need another tight end or a running back or really a wide receiver or a quarterback for that matter, because we have one now. Take a fucking defensive end.
Yeah.
And just be done with it.
Yeah.
I'm tired of asking for one. Or take a corner. Either one works for me. Get the other one in the second round. But don't do it again. Do not take another skill position player. I will lose my mind. What will be the next thing banned in the NFL? Tackling.
Yeah, tackling is a good shout. I'm kind of thinking maybe like visors, shiesty masks,
Nah, because
potentially.
okay, they already kind of got rid of visors for the most part. You can't have a color one or a designed one, and it has to be like a certain tint. It's like a fucking car window now. And then
It's true.
you can't really ban shiesties because it's a matter of keeping somebody warm.
It could be. What if they like banned wide receivers from wearing gloves?
That would be awesome.
Could you imagine how many of those wide receivers would have like total hissy fits?
True. What if they banned punting and kicking?
Yeah.
That would be wild. A lot of guys would lose their jobs,
Yeah.
but it would be wild.
What about tackling, but only like wrapping up like around the ankle?
Yeah, I think that's unavoidable. Like the hip drop tackle, Jesus, the hip drop tackle is already rather unavoidable. Tackling somebody at the ankle is part of the game, like genuinely a true part of the game, an inherent part of football.
I thought that about hip tackling.
Yeah, I guess it's the part where you don't necessarily have to take your feet off the ground.
Yeah.
Is where the discrepancy is.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They should just stop taking things out of football. Maybe add a few things back.
And turf.
Yeah, take that out of football. That should be the next thing banned. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this the NFL bothers the fuck out of me because nobody thinks that the product's getting worse. It's not like the MLB. And
That's such a good point.
like we don't get complaint, like that's why the NBA added the in-season tournament, because they were like, it feels like nobody cares about the regular season, and they added like, you have to play a certain amount of games to be all NBA, and that kind of ties into how much money you can make because you can't get a supermax without being on an all NBA team. So like those kind of rule changes make sense because it fundamentally makes the product better. Nothing that the NFL has done makes the product better than other than maybe the kickoff rules, which I still think suck.
Oh, those are horrible.
So it just seems like a lot of unnecessary changes to the game.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, that's going to do it. That's all the questions. Questions time has come to a close, and so is this episode. So, in case you weren't paying attention at the beginning of the episode, I'm going to promote this again. The live stream for the draft night special. Everything is being worked on. Graphics, stream setup, overlays, schedules, prep sheets beginning to be worked on. Possibly the guests coming into the show. All of that is being prepared. 2 weeks, really putting me on the clock because it really crept up on me quick. But it's coming up soon. Our first ever live stream for Second and Short. I'm extremely excited already. I'm sure I'll be fucking running at 1,000 miles an hour to make sure everything's perfect for it. And it probably won't be, but I'm going to try my ass off to get it to be very good. So make sure you guys check that out. 8 p.m. on draft night, going all the way through the draft. Last year was about 4.5 hours. This year, wouldn't expect it to be any less. With that being said, next week we've got mock drafts. And yeah, it's just about all draft coverage from here when it comes to the NFL. And of course, we'll be talking baseball. So that's going to be great. Me and Colin are going to have a pre-recorded episode coming out on Monday that we're recording on Saturday. So we'll be missing out on some of the things from Sunday, Masters champion, things like that. But we'll still have a fun episode for you. So, Luke, anything else for the people?
Nah, man. Good to head out. This is a long episode.
Yeah, 2:15, pretty average for the two of us. But nonetheless, we'll catch you guys later. Thank you for listening. Obviously, follow all the stuff. I know I forgot to say it. Didn't want to bother you with all that again. But you know where the socials are. You know what to do on YouTube. You know what to do on the podcast platforms. All
Park
that.
your car. Get out.
Turn off the car. Take the keys out of the ignition. Blah, blah, blah. Don't want anybody getting in trouble. But if you're going to get in trouble, at least you got in trouble supporting the boys. So, with that being said, we'll catch you guys next week. Enjoy the weekend. Peace.
Peace.